that are starting to settle in. When you look out a little more farther west, you can see some rain start to develop here just east of New Orleans. And as you look at tonight's lows, we'll get about down to 59 degrees with fog, so be sure to drive safely. We'll also get up to about 74 tomorrow. So for tonight, we're going to talk about the rainy weekend as well as those sticky temperatures. And we'll take a look at the Arctic freeze. For that and more, well, FSU weather begins now.
Hi, how are you doing, everyone? Happy Wednesday and welcome to FSU Weather. I'm meteorologist Tyler Sherrod.
And I'm student meteorologist Zach Richards. You know, it's kind of been a gloomy past couple of days out there, and we kind of expect those conditions to continue.
Yeah, really today and yesterday have been almost identical, even with the misty conditions rolling in right around the same time. Whenever I came here yesterday, it was starting to get pretty misty, and same thing with today.
Yeah, I was out running a few errands last night, and it was just gloomy. You know, it kind of had, it almost felt like rain, but it wasn't. It was a heavy mist, just enough to have the lightest windshield wiper setting.
Yep, and really that mist is going to start to develop into foggy conditions. Tonight, with the drier air aloft in the atmosphere that's trapping a lot of the moisture down low, that's why we're getting conditions so misty and why we're going to get fog as we go throughout the night.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, there could be some hazardous driving conditions tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but, you know, we definitely need to be careful as we head into the overnight hours. There is a dense fog advisory out there.
Yeah, and hopefully we can start to see the sun peek out, maybe just a little bit as we go throughout the week, although we're going to keep those rain chances around.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but not going to be quite as gloomy as the past 2 days. At least, maybe we'll start to see some sunshine to poke through and a little bit less mist and fog here in Tallahassee.
Right, we can only hope for the best as we go into the next couple of days. But for now, let's go off to the wall with Robert.
You mean Chandler, excuse me. Nice shout out to Robert, though. My best friend over there doing the booth tonight. But yeah, let's look at the southeast. So you can see current conditions, well, they're pretty variable. You can, up in Little Rock, they're about 33 degrees, but when you move down south, you see 67 in Tallahassee, but as you get into the Florida Peninsula, well, 70s. And when you look at those dew points, about the 50s and 60s for the most part for most of the Florida region, but as you get farther north towards Little Rock and Jackson, well, we're getting down into those 50s and even 40s. 32 in Little Rock, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice for February. Looking across the radar, well, a little bit of rain north of Tallahassee and also some rain on the coast right beside the Carolinas. However, well, here in the Panhandle, we don't have to worry about that as much currently, but we do see some rain that's starting to make its way towards Alabama. And zooming in on that front, you can see that it's leaving New Orleans and making its way up towards Jackson, Mississippi, Montgomery, Alabama. You guys might see some of that action later on this evening. And when we're looking at Memphis and Nashville, you guys, well, you've seen some rain down in Nashville. Well, I've used to live there. That's usually always what happens. You don't really see the wintry precipitation when you really want it. Although you really don't want this kind of precipitation. Looking at Memphis, you guys just wrapped up your wintry conditions. Up in Paducah, where I am actually from originally, you guys are dealing with some ice right now. That's pretty dangerous conditions, pretty dangerous driving conditions. I was looking at ice totals of about 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch. Where you see this slot right here, that was ice storm warnings. Over here, we have some winter weather advisories as well. Looking at the next 48 hours, well, so have some of that rain that builds up, builds its way through, sweeps through New Orleans and through Mobile and that region, as well as mid-Alabama, Montgomery region, Atlanta, and even Charlotte, and as you get up into North Carolina. So, as we look at those stormy outlook, well, today it's been pretty broad stroke, a little bit of thunderstorm activity, nothing more though. When you see these very light green color, that mainly just indicates that you can hear some thunder, which I'm sure there's some regions that heard some thunder today, especially if you're looking at like Louisiana, where that front just swept through, as well as places like Houston. Looking at tonight's lows, well, 27 in Little Rock, indicating a little bit of wintry mix potentially for tonight. And you can see that for the most part, most of the area, 50s. Once you get into Florida, 60s, and even only 72 as the low for Miami. And then tomorrow's highs, well, for most of the area, it's going to be pretty mixed bag. We have 35 as the high for Little Rock tomorrow. But as you make your way across the frontal boundary, well, it warms back up. But now I'm going to toss things off to Tyler.
Thanks, Chandler. We're going to take our first local forecast of the night. Not really much to see here over Doak Campbell Stadium. Just some very cloudy skies. Once again, not going to be able to see that sunset over the stadium. Been going about this for about 2 days in a row. Maybe we'll finally be able to see the sunset tomorrow. We'll see. But currently, 67 degrees with those cloudy skies. Winds are coming out of the southeast at 3 miles per hour. And you can see the cloud cover kind of draped over Tallahassee, although it starts to look like it's going to disappear, but we still have these misty conditions here in the region, and we're going to have fog develop, so not going to be a very clear night overall. To our northwest, you see Mariana and Leon. I think Ponce de Leon. I don't remember exactly what the city says there. Cut off a little bit, but they had some rain move through the region a little bit earlier. Zooming into Thomasville, no rain to be seen, just some cloud coverage there. Same with Valdosta. They saw some sprinkles in the area, but nothing too heavy over there. As you move west, you are starting to see a little bit more rain develop to the south and north of Steam Mill. Don't know if that's a town or just an actual steam mill. Didn't know that place existed until we saw it just now on the map. But you're still going to see lots of cloud coverage draped all throughout the Big Bend region, as well as South Georgia and South Alabama. As we zoom out to the rest of the southeast, seeing lots of clouds for many of these states, although Atlanta looking pretty clear, as well as northern Alabama. Still seeing some storms move through central Mississippi. Temperatures for the Big Bend region are sitting in the upper 60s. Perry is getting up to 70 degrees though, seeing a little bit more sunshine than we are here. To the west here in Tallahassee at 67 degrees with those cloudy skies. For the most part, we're having pretty calm conditions when we're talking about the winds, although Tallahassee is having a slight breeze right now at 3 miles per hour, but calm for the most part with the winds. And then over the next 24 hours, you're going to see cloud coverage stick around, although there looks like there might be a small break in the clouds as we get into tomorrow evening, but those northern regions still going to see those clouds persist. Over the next 3 days, going to be 74 degrees for your high on Thursday. Friday, going to cool down to 71 with a chance of rain, and then Saturday, going to be 65 degrees for your high with those rain chances sticking around. So for the next 7 days, just talked about the next 3 days, but as we get into Sunday, Valentine's Day, we're going to be at a high of 61 degrees. Rain chances only may be about 30%, but the rain chances will persist through Monday and Tuesday at 40% until finally we start to see a break on Wednesday with mostly sunny skies and a high of 63. Now, we're going to send it to the desk with Chandler and Zach to talk about some cold temperatures throughout the rest of the U.S.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. Yeah, so most of the area has seen or is seeing cooler temperatures than normal. In fact, a majority of areas in Texas are seeing below average temperatures. Some even as low as like 40 to 50 degrees cooler. I couldn't imagine living in an area that gets that kind of huge temperature.
It's crazy, and it's definitely the coldest air we've seen so far this season. And we're expecting the next couple of days reinforcing shots of that cold air. It's from Siberia, so I mean this has been seriously dislodged Arctic air, and there's nothing to stop it from coming pretty much all the way south.
Yes, yeah. So that's why we're seeing some of these current conditions in places like Kentucky and Ohio, where you're seeing some of that that cold, that snowy precipitation. And when you look at across most of the national area, well, that's pretty cold. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about -7 in Billings. We're going to go a little further into Billings here after a while. But, I mean, even into parts of the Northeast, I hope you think it's balmy right now in Detroit, Chicago, in the teens. You're going to be getting way down there next couple of days.
Yes, yes. One of my friends is from Wisconsin, and they actually have just been like preparing for this extremely cold wind chill. And while they're used to those sub-zero temperatures, it's different whenever there's a strong wind that comes in behind it. It just makes it extremely unnerving, honestly. Like you gotta cover every single part of your surface, just like all your skin.
That's crazy. And we're looking back at the models. A week or two ago, we really thought Florida could be getting in on some of this. And for the short term, at least next week or so, it looks like we're going to miss the worst of that cold. But parts of the Mid-Atlantic right now, and the Midwest that are dealing with snowstorm and/or an ice storm, now they're going to have to deal with this like really cold temperatures. So
yes, exactly.
It's been a rough week, and it's not going to get a lot better here in the short term.
Not at all. Yes. As you mentioned, though, with Florida, we at least are lucking out. But I'm going to also mention that tonight we will still have that fog. I think that is just an important thing to mention here in Tallahassee. So be safe. Now we're going to throw things back to Tyler at the wall.
Thanks, guys. We're going to go a little bit more in depth with some of these cold temperatures, as they're talking about extremely cold up north with that Arctic air coming from Canada. Bismarck, 2 degrees right now, Minneapolis 6 degrees, and then Billings even getting into the negatives at -7 degrees right now. As you start to push further west, things do start to warm up. Seattle is at 43 degrees right now, and then the West Coast, pretty comfortable, 62 degrees in San Francisco. LA is 58. Southeast is fairly warm for the most part. Once you get into Memphis, is pretty cool at 30 degrees with that large temperature gradient there. Moving into the Northeast, Boston 28 degrees and Washington, D.C. 35 degrees. And although you might think with these very low dew points that we're very dry all throughout the U.S., but the dew points are so close to the actual temperatures that there is still a lot of moisture, and we're going to start to see that with some of the snow and rain moving all throughout the different regions of the U.S. Wind speeds coming from the north in the central U.S. helping to drag down that cold air. But if you're on the coastlines, those wind directions are coming from the ocean for the most part. So draped over the entire U.S., you pretty much have a stationary front working its way across the entire United States from the West Coast down through Texas and then moving into the Southeast as well. Really, most of our snow and rain mix is coming in Kentucky and Ohio. Those are the regions that are seeing the most snow right now. Upper level water vapor is showing where those cloud tops are, the highest cloud tops, and really this can help you locate where some of that snow and rainfall is happening. So let's go into the Southwest, where for the most part things are pretty calm, although we are seeing some rain to the north of Phoenix and to the west of Albuquerque. And really Albuquerque kind of has a little bubble around it. They have rain to their west and northwest as well as to their south. They are seeing a little bit of cloud coverage. As we move to the east, Texas, northern Texas and Oklahoma seeing a lot of cloud coverage. There is some rain and storms moving to the north from Houston to Dallas, as well as moving through northern Louisiana and central Mississippi. But the big hitter here is that snowfall going through Cincinnati. They've seen the worst of it now, although still some lingering snowfall. Seeing some rain-snow mix there in the pink in northern Kentucky, and then once it transitions to that green, that's just regular old rainfall there. So these pink regions are under winter storm warnings right now, southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, as well as some parts of Ohio and West Virginia. Those purples are winter weather advisories. So if you're in those regions, you still want to look out for the snow, but the pink is where you really want to worry about heavy snowfall. So for today's storm outlook, thunderstorm potential throughout the south and southeast, although nothing too severe, just some thunderstorms that are not going to be too powerful in nature. So here's tonight's forecast. Going to get really cold for the north. Going to keep that Arctic air around. Southeast isn't going to get too cold overall. And then for tomorrow's forecast, here's your temperatures. Boston 29, Minneapolis 1 degree, and then Tallahassee going to get up to 77. Now we're going to pass things off to Zach with our second local look of the evening.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. You know, somewhere I'm really glad it's not feeling like the Arctic right now is here in Tallahassee. You know, the high today, 69 degrees, and our low is 62. There's almost no variation. It's pretty much been a constant temperature for almost 2 days now. It's slowly warmed up and then just kind of hung around. So our average, we're pretty close to our average high, but nowhere near the average low. We just don't really cool off at night when there's this much moisture hanging around. Satellite and radar, doesn't it look clear, right? On the radar, you don't see a whole lot of precipitation. It almost looks like it's cleared out a good bit, but if you walk outside right now, that heavy mist is still coming down in parts of this Big Bend region. The real precipitation up here towards Marianna and Dothan, Alabama, that's going to be sliding our way over the next 24 hours or so. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. There's that rain as we get towards the Panhandle and up into Mississippi there. Generally heading off towards the northeast and thankfully away from our direction, but this general mess is going to kind of fill in. The rest of Florida tonight, not looking too terrible. And as far as temperatures go, mid to upper 60s still, like I said, pretty much for everyone. A little bit warmer off to the east there. They're not dealing with quite as much of the way of that mist. Perry right now, 70 degrees, and we are still showing the sun symbol, so not quite as misty out there. Dew points extremely high, basically the same as the temperatures. It's muggy, it's sticky, and we all know it. Wind speed not really working to clear out any of that mist. Pretty much calm conditions all across the Big Bend region. Next 24 hours, keeping those clouds around, but notice up here to the northwest, by about this time tomorrow, we start to see a little bit more organized showers and thunderstorms going to approach the area. Tonight's forecast, we're going to cool off a little bit, right around 60 for pretty much everywhere here. Madison, down a couple of degrees cooler, but overall it's going to stay moist. It's going to stay pretty much, it's going to stay pretty moist and pretty much around the same temperature. Tomorrow, we see a good variance here right along the coast. We're going to keep those clouds around and we're going to keep those temperatures cool. But Madison, you're going to get almost up to 80 degrees, in Valdosta, 78. So depending on where you are, if you get that sun to come out, it will warm up quite nicely. The week ahead showing tomorrow here in Tally, 74 degrees. Friday, 71. We bring those rain chances back once again. Saturday into Sunday, that's when we really expect, unfortunately for Valentine's Day, we're going to keep that chance around for those showers. And then as we get into the Monday and Tuesday of next week, still keeping those shower chances around, but by Wednesday, we are hopefully clearing out, not going to be too terribly bad. If we can deal with a couple more days of rain, thankfully not getting into that Arctic air like we discussed earlier. But speaking of Arctic, Tyler's going to take us to somewhere a little bit chillier.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Welcome to Billings. Luckily, we are not in Billings right now. We live in Tallahassee, so things are much warmer here. But in Billings, Montana, really, the temperatures are quite shocking. I'm going to show you what's going on there. Complete cloud coverage throughout Billings and the rest of Montana. Seeing some scattered snowfall as well. Really, these conditions are going to persist for quite a while. If you're in Broadview, still going to be cloudy. Columbus, cloudy, but really a lot of that snowfall looks like it's happening right around Billings and Pryor. The cloud coverage, as you can see, it really stretches throughout most of Montana and has continued to build up. Looking at Great Falls, seeing some snow to their west, and really along these interstate lines, seeing a lot of cloud coverage. Temperatures for the region, Billings is at -7 degrees right now, Hardin at -6. As you move to the north, things get even colder. Lewistown gets up to -16 degrees, but if you live in Sheridan, it's actually a pretty comfortable day, 2 degrees, so you're not in the negatives, so that's a positive for you there. Really, at least you have some sunshine in some of these regions. Powell, you might be -4 degrees, but the sunshine might warm you up just a tad bit, but really we're just looking for the silver lining with these cold temperatures here in Montana. And most of these winds are coming from the north, bringing that Arctic air down. In Big Timber, winds coming out of the east at 11 miles per hour, and Powell, winds coming from the north at 12 miles per hour. So over the next 24 hours, you're going to continue to see that snowfall phase in and out of these regions. Definitely not going to see the cloud coverage go away for at least southern Montana. And then once we look at the week ahead, you're going to see snow chances are going to stick around, 50% for Thursday, 40% for Friday. Those low temperatures going to get down to -23 degrees on Thursday night and into Friday morning. But things will start to warm up, and by Valentine's Day, you'll even get to 0 degrees and start to transition back into the positives throughout next week. Your high temperature is going to be Tuesday at 29 degrees. So you might, if there's a lake in Montana, might want to hit the lake. That sounds pretty warm to me. Now we're going to pass things off to Zach in Florida, where things are even warmer than in Montana.
Yes, thankfully we are staying away from the cold stuff here in Florida. Right now, Pensacola, you're at 65. Let me go and block out some of the Atlantic. We can see the whole state right now. Orlando, West Palm, down towards Miami, you're right here in the mid to upper 70s. You have no idea what's going on in Montana. You have no semblance of negative temperatures. You don't know what that is. And thank goodness for that, right? Overall, pretty nice throughout the state. Dew points are on the rise, and they have been the past couple days. Down here in South Florida, this may seem pretty typical, but even up here towards Jacksonville, we're talking about 66 for your dew point, 62 over in Gainesville, 66 here in Tally as well. So the moisture really sticking around most of the state. Thankfully, it's not translating into much in the way of precipitation. As of right now, pretty much the whole state looking pretty clear tonight, with the exception, like I said, of that northern panhandle over just around the Big Bend and just west of us over there in Pensacola, still dealing with those showers. Defuniak Springs, you guys got the nice thunderstorm today. Everyone else just kind of had this cloudy, muggy conditions, not really a whole lot as far as exciting weather going on. But yeah, the nice little storm moved there and is still trekking along I-10. However, it has weakened and it's kind of replaced with just some light drizzle. Over here towards Jacksonville, you've had some spotty showers today as well, and they're going to start moving, and they're going to continue moving off the coast there. Down towards Gainesville and Ocala, though, you guys are looking a much clearer tonight. Palm Bay, over towards Placid Lakes, Port Charlotte tonight, still got those high clouds kind of moving from west to east. And as we get down here towards Key West, maybe a few scattered showers coming up there from the south, but overall, it's feeling tropical, it's feeling muggy, nothing too crazy going on. All right, so looking at Miami, we're looking at the 80s for the next couple of days and keeping those rain chances pretty low. Going on towards Tampa, 81, 79, then 77. Those scattered showers are kind of moving along. Orlando, 83, 83, and then 81. So still kind of keeping things not too bad, kind of muggy. And we've got those showers and thunderstorms still sticking around. Jacksonville, mid-70s are going to continue and then start to drop, and then upper 60s by the end of the week. Once again, still kind of holding on to those showers and storms. And Pensacola, 70, 64, and then 61, once again with those showers and thunderstorms kind of sticking around. Looking at tonight in Florida, general 60s, and right around 60s we get towards the northern part of the state, and warming as you go towards the south with Miami down there in the low 70s. And as we go into tomorrow's forecast around Florida, generally pretty warm. It's going to feel more like spring, especially in the central part of the state. Orlando, 83. Pensacola, though, you're a little bit more in that precipitation, still down at 70. All right, Chandler's going to take us with our last local look.
Well, that's right, yeah. So let's talk about Tallahassee once more. You see those conditions really just cloudy for most of the area. And really, I mean, it makes it kind of a depressing look. I mean, as Tyler talked about, we've had this now for a couple days. Thankfully, we should see a break from that relatively soon. Maybe tomorrow we'll see a sunset. But our current conditions, we have 67 as our current temperature. Cloudy with winds that are pretty much calm, negligible at best. Well, temperatures across the viewing area are in the 60s, mid-60s as you get up north, but for the most part, it's 60s all around. And when you look at that radar, well, we can see some rainy conditions over here in Mariana. You guys are getting in on a little bit of the rainy action. However, here in Tallahassee, we're mainly focused on that fog and that mist that has settled down towards the surface. And you can see maybe a little bit of rain farther off in Fargo. However, really nothing in our viewing area to talk about today. And as we zoom in on Thomasville, you guys can see a little bit of rain up a little bit north of you, and some clouds that are a little thicker clouds are rolling in. However, it's pretty much similar conditions to Tallahassee. As you get over to Steam Mill and Mariana, like I said, you have that rain, a little bit heavier rain actually, that's kind of trying to make its way towards Mariana, but it's dying off. Chipley, you guys are experiencing some of that rain. And as we get a little bit of a bigger view of what's going on across the United States, Well, as Tyler mentioned, we basically have a mixed bag of precipitation across most of the area. You got this stationary front that's really bringing crazy conditions for most of the areas across the United States. So you see in Kentucky and in Ohio that rain and ice, and then we have some rain down here in the Gulf Coast over the next 24 hours. Well, not much to speak of. And then as we get into tonight, 59 will be our low with fog, so keep an eye out as you're going throughout your evening if you are going to drive. And then for tomorrow, well, we'll get up to about 57 by noon, and well, you can kind of disregard the sun. It'll be a little bit cloudier than that, and you can also disregard this 34, and we will get higher than 61 as our high. As we look at our game for as well, we'll get up to about 62 with rain showers. And then over the week ahead, well, we really have not a mixed bag. We actually have pretty similar conditions across the board with rain for the most part across most of the week, actually. But now we're going to close at the desk. And how about you, Tyler? Are you done with this rain?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm over the rain. I'm over winter, really. Although it hasn't been too cold here in Tallahassee, I'm ready for the spring to start and for the sun to start to come back out.
That's right. Well, I guess we can agree to disagree, being a person that's not from Florida and specifically from a little bit of a more northern area in Kentucky. I do like seeing those cooler temperatures, less muggy conditions. This has been a little irritating on my end. However, I did come down to Florida to experience Florida, so I guess got to get the full shebang, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'd be okay with these colder temperatures if we could actually see some snow here in Tallahassee. But that is a very rare occurrence here in the Sunshine State. But it looks like I'll start to get my wish of some sunnier skies and some warmer temperatures. Once we start getting into next week, right around Wednesday, it looks like those rain chances will finally stop. We'll get to a high of 63. A lot of people talk about how there's spring showers once you get to spring, but actually climatologically, at least here in Tallahassee, April is one of the driest months. So we're going to start to move away from this rain once we get into the spring.
That's right, that's right. Actually, interestingly enough, across a lot of regions in the southeast, fall is actually the rainy season. Usually that's associated with those tropical conditions. But follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/FSU weather. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/FSU weather. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Type in FSU weather in that search bar. And also follow us on Instagram. We really love to see those pictures. But that's all I have. How about you, Tyler?
Well, looks like we're running out of time here, so that's all I have as well. I'm meteorologist Tyler Sherrod.
And this has been FSU Weather.